Welcome to Write with Love. I'm your host, Sarah Williams, best-selling author, speaker, and creative entrepreneur. Each week, I chat to passionate and inspiring authors about their journey in creative writing. Some are traditionally published, some do it themselves. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone has something interesting to say. We all love love and love what we do. Today's show is brought to you by our amazing fans and supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the show and get some awesome bonus episodes, go to patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author to learn more. Now here's today's show. G'day and welcome to Write with Love. Today on the show I'm chatting to Steff Green. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, thanks Sarah. Thanks for having me.
No worries. So I'm sure we're going to be chatting for a long time. I have so many questions and so much I want to know about you. Can you start by telling us about yourself and your writing journey so far?
I certainly can. My name is Steff Green, and when I grew up, growing up, I used to love writing so much and telling stories and, kind of like all other authors, but I didn't actually want to be a writer. I wanted to be an archaeologist. So that's what I went to university for. And I studied archaeology, and I learned how to read hieroglyphs and do all this cool stuff. And then I couldn't find a job when I left university. And the large part of the reason why I couldn't find a job is because I'm actually legally blind. So I have a rare condition called chromatopsia, and that means that my eyes are the normal person's eyes have rod cells. So do this quickly. Normal person's eyes have rod cells and cone cells. Rod cells are what you use to see at night. Cone cells are what you use to see during the day and for colour vision. And you're supposed to have like millions of each of them, and I've got no cone cells. So all the time, it's like I'm using my night vision during the day. And so I'm like really light sensitive, and I always have I close all the curtains, and my office is dark. And it also means that I can't see. I'm really short-sighted, so I can't drive. So people kind of looked at me and they went, well, is this really the best person to be looking after ancient artifacts? And so I struggled to find a job, and I had one particularly awful incident where someone was quite discriminatory against me because of my eyesight, and I came home and I was in tears. And my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, sort of said, well, maybe you could say, well, actually you've done all this archaeology, because I spent years volunteering on digs, and I've been overseas doing work and stuff like that. So maybe you've done archaeology, and maybe there was something else that you'd like to do that tell you that you couldn't do, and that you wouldn't have to spend every day of your life trying to convince people that it was a thing that you could do. And I kind of thought about it, and the most obvious thing that just leapt out at me was I'd love to be a writer. How nice would it be to sit at home and just make up stories all day, and no one could say I couldn't do that. But I had no idea I didn't know how writers earn money. I didn't know anything. So I did what any self-respecting millennial would do. And I Googled how to make a living as a writer. And then I tried to do all the things that Google told me to do. So I sort of like was blogging, and I was writing articles for magazines, and I started kind of copywriting for businesses, and ended up working in the tech industry as a copywriter. And so while I was doing that, I was writing vampire stories and steampunk books and trying to get them published. And I had a book deal with a big publisher in Australia, which fell through at the last minute, like the last possible minute. It was about 2014, and I was looking at having to start all over again from scratch, basically, on this series that I'd been writing for about 5 or 6 years. And it was around the same time that kind of writers like Hugh Howey and Amanda Hocking were doing their, talking about how they were doing really well self-publishing, and I was starting to think, well, maybe I could I could try this, and I just got myself a Kindle, and I loved reading on it because I could make it print really large, and I could carry like 1,000 books around in my purse without it being heavy. So I self-published my first fantasy series, which is the Engine War series, under my fantasy name, and it did middling to poor, but it was so much fun to just hold my own book in my hands and see it actually finished, and it was just awesome. I was so different. And so I was working on those, and then one day I was at this party, and a friend of mine, we were talking about Grey, and this had never really been on my radar, but I read the first chapter because everyone was talking about it, and I thought it wasn't super keen on it, and I was kind of being a little bit, and this friend of mine really liked it. She was like a bit annoyed with me, which was totally fair enough. And she said, well, it's not like you could write a book like that. Kind of implying that I was a bit of a sweetheart, and I'd never write a book like that. So I thought, well, okay then. And so in secret, without telling anyone, without even telling my husband, I wrote a short paranormal romance book, which was about this fox shapeshifter who was an artist, and the woman that he fell in love with. And I published it in secret, and I thought under the super secret pen name, and I thought, well, whatever. And then it just sold like 1,000 copies in a week. And I'm like, no, what? And I always say, and it's so true, that I kept just expecting Amazon to call me and say, look, we've actually just given you someone else's royalties. Take them back now. But they never called, and so I never gave back the royalties. And I thought, well, I'm going to write the next one. And I kind of had to come clean to my husband that I'd made all this money, but it wasn't from my like super serious science fiction steampunk books. It was from this like smutty, fun little romance book, and he kind of was like cracking up laughing, but he's also saying, well, are you going to write more of them? And I thought, well, yeah, actually I am. So that was mid sort of April 2015, and I basically am still writing super fun, a little bit smutty paranormal romance.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, you're award winning, and so you are basically writing in the paranormal romance genres, the gothic fiction and the dark fantasy, and you've got, is it 2 or 3 pen names going?
Just 2.
Two.
So I have SC Green, which is I'm transitioning into just being Steff Green, which is my fantasy sort of / catch-all pen name for everything that doesn't belong under Steffanie Holmes, which is my paranormal romance pen name.
Excellent, cool. And we should cover, you were saying it's a little bit smutty, so the heat levels usually on most of them it's pretty intense.
Yeah, I sort of always think I'm about a 3 in terms of, if you say 1 is really sweet and 5 is really smutty, I always sort of think I'm about a 3, but actually, a lot of my books are in reverse harem, and I think you probably can't really have a reverse harem that's not like a 4 or a 5, so
Yes.
yeah, probably I'm quite hot.
Yes. And so let's talk about this reverse harem, which is hot right now, and I keep hearing reverse harem. And okay, you've got to tell us, for everyone who doesn't know, you tell us what it is.
Okay, so the reverse harem is a sort of a subgenre, subtrope of romance where instead of the heroine having a happily ever after with one guy, she has a happily ever after with 3 or more guys. So kind of comes out of sort of a bit of a subgenre of anime, the kind of Japanese cartoon shows, where there'd be one woman and one girl, and she'd have kind of sort of 5 or 6 guys around her, and they'd have different kinds of relationships. But then at the end of the show, she would always choose one of the guys. And a lot of readers of these were kind of going, well, why does she have to choose? We're just sick of love triangles. We're sick of people having to, the woman having to choose. Why does she have to choose? Why can't she have everything?
Yeah.
So, and so some of those people who loved anime were writers, and they started writing these series. And because there's a lot of harem books in kind of fantasy that's geared towards men, that came up with the term reverse harem, which is a harem for a woman. And that's where it came from. And they've been around for a little while, but they've been seriously gaining popularity since about late 2016, early 2017.
Yeah.
And they're just going absolutely nuts. And it's a lot of fun to write. So you have a main female character, and sort of usually between 3 to 5, but sometimes more love interests.
Wow.
And each one has their own romantic arc, and they have lots of sexy times on the way. Lots of problems to overcome, and there's an added interesting element in that, what's effectively a polyamorous relationship isn't always the norm, so it isn't always accepted. So there's kind of that element to cross as well. Before you can have your happily ever after.
Yeah, I guess I hear reverse harem used more, I guess, in fantasy and paranormal. Do you think that's because it's part of the world building and you can make it more of an acceptable sort of thing in their society?
I 100% think so, yeah. Yes, it's definitely becoming bigger in contemporary. Over the last 6 months, it's definitely seeing a lot more contemporary books coming in. A lot of them are younger, so they're sort of in that new adult kind of age group. So that upper young adult, new adult, where it can be steamy, but they don't necessarily have to end with. They end with a happily ever after. They don't necessarily end with marriage and a baby, which can be a bit complicated. In a paranormal world, you can make it so that a woman having a harem like that is, as part of the world building, a lot of them are about shapeshifters with names and things like that. So, just make one, she's got 5, that kind of thing.
Yeah. What is you've presumably read a lot of reverse harem novels now, I would say. What's the most kind of amount of guys that you've ever read about or heard about in a reverse harem book that's actually still pulled it off?
So honestly, I personally haven't really liked that many that have had more than 5. Like, I think 5 is the limit before they just start being kind of all the same.
Yeah.
There's one of the biggest authors in the genre, which is C.M. Stunnett. She has one which is an Alice in Wonderland kind of satire almost, called Alice in Underland, and that's got 9 guys.
Wow.
And it's a fun book, but a fun series. But I think that I found that you didn't really get to know any of the guys because there's so many of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, hands off to them. I mean, I have enough trouble sticking to one guy and dealing with all of his male crap, so let alone any more. So let's talk about your series, The Briarwood Witches, which is a reverse harem storyline. So tell us all about it. Like, where did it come from, and what's the storyline, so we can get into it?
So Briarwood is about our heroine Maeve, and she is she's a bit of a science nerd. All she's ever wanted is to into MIT. She wants to go into space. That's her. She's very logical, and she was adopted. So she was born in England, but raised by her adoptive parents in Arizona. And then in the first chapter of the book, her parents are killed in a tragic accident, and her scholarship to MIT is rescinded for reasons. And she discovers that she has inherited from her birth mother, that she never knew, a big English castle. So she decides to go to the castle and see what it's like, so that she can sell it and use the money to go to MIT. And then when she gets there, she discovers that actually in her castle are 4 really, really super hot English and 1 Irish, British and 1 Irish tenants, who are all these guys. And then she also discovers that there's kind of an entrance into the realm of Fae at the back of the castle, and the whole reason the castle was there is to basically act as a bastion to stop Fae coming into the real world. And she discovers that she's really a witch with all these powers, and all this stuff happens. And her guys are there to help her and things like that. And it was really fun to write, because I loved that idea of her being this super logical person who has to deal with the fact that she's now a witch, and she has to deal with the Fae, and everything she comes across that's magical, she has to kind of try and justify it in her head in some kind of theoretical physics kind of way, and it just kind of does her head in. That's Briarwood.
Oh, that's awesome. So how many have you written in that series so far?
So Briarwood's at 5 books, and it's a complete series, so it's finished beginning to end.
It's done. And it's Maeve is the lead character in all of them. Yeah, excellent. Oh, that sounds awesome. So you've done a few different series. You've got, what did you say, 3 series going at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm currently working on 2 series at the moment, because I've finished Briarwood, which is nice. It's nice to finish.
It would be.
So one of the other series I've got is the Nevermore Bookshop series, which is another reverse harem series, and it's quite interesting, because I wanted to do something a little bit different. I'm a big fan of kind of British sort of cozy mysteries like Midsummer Murders and things like that.
Yeah.
And always kind of wanted to write things like that, but it doesn't really, it's not really a romance plot, or is it? So I came up with this idea that what I would do is, so I'd write this series, which was basically like a mystery series, except that it was also a reverse harem. And so it's called the Nevermore Bookshop series, or Nevermore Bookshop Mysteries. It's set in we've got the main character whose name is Mina, and Mina she grew up in a small English village, and she didn't really fit in very well, and she's a little bit of a punk rock kind of girl. She goes over to New York City and tries to get into the fashion industry. Except while she's over there, she discovers that she is going blind, and very, very hard to be in the fashion industry if you are blind. And so she comes back to England, and she's pretty depressed and upset. And she ends up getting a job at this local bookshop's big towering kind of Victorian block, favorite warren of different rooms all filled with books. And there's this proprietor, and he's pretty surly, and he's a bit like Bernard from Black Books, if anyone's ever seen that show. He's a bit of a surly kind of guy, and there's also a raven that's kind of like the shop mascot, and he so people always come in, and every time they quote the poem The Raven at him, he quotes on them. And then there's another guy who lives upstairs, whose name is Maury, and basically a flatmate of the guy that owns the shop. And it turns out that they are all characters from fictional books. So the shop proprietor is actually Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights.
Oh, nice.
And Maury, who lives upstairs, is actually James Moriarty, the villain from Sherlock Holmes. And the Raven is actually a shapeshifter, and he is actually the Raven from, his name's Cloth in the books, and he's actually the Raven from Poe's The Raven. And the bookshop is basically bringing these fictional characters to life. And what happens is in each book there's a murder to solve. So like in the first book, Mina's best friend gets murdered in the shop, and they think that she did it, and so she's got to solve the murder before the police close in on her. And she's got her 3 friends, including James Moriarty, the world's foremost criminal mastermind, kind of sort things out. But while they're solving a different murder in each book, there's also this overarching mystery of why is the bookshop bringing characters to life? Why, what's going on? How is it related to Mina, etc., etc. And yeah, so it's really really fun. It's got lots of literary jokes in it. All the book titles are puns on kind of literary things. And yeah, that's been super, super, super fun.
Yeah, no, that sounds really funny and just awesome. And you had one come out quite recently too called Shunned, and that's been really popular. So tell us about that one.
So Shunned is amazing. So there's kind of this little trend going on that I've noticed starting up in kind of the reverse harem groups, where people are asking for these books, which readers calling bully romances. And I never really, the readers seem to have made up this term. Like it's never a term I'd heard in the actual publishing industry. But readers are saying, "Oh, I want a bully romance," like this book or this book, and they're basically stories about the heroine will go to a school or an academy or a magical academy if it's paranormal, and the hero or the heroes if it's a reverse harem start off as her bullies, and then throughout the book, through whatever reasons, they become, they end up in a relationship, and sometimes they're bullying her because they're trying to protect her. Usually they're bullying her just because they're all broken on the inside and she's going to be the one that heals them. And there's often an element of the heroine gets her revenge on them, and through her revenge process they have a redemption cycle and basically grovel for her forgiveness, and so those have been super insanely popular, and I was kind of thinking, it'd be kind of fun to write something like that, but I just don't have any ideas, and I don't know how. Most of the big ones are contemporary, and I don't write contemporary. It's like I don't know how to make it paranormal. And then I was thinking about one of my favorite horror authors, H.P. Lovecraft, and could I maybe? And then it's something in the shower one day, the idea occurred to me. I just combined the two things. So Shunned is the first book in the series called The Kings of Miskatonic, and it's one of these bully romances where the guys start off and they're very nice people, and they have reasons, but they're not very nice people. But it's also a very kind of dark gothic horror story, which isn't related. It's related to what's creepy things that are going on at the school and stuff like that. And I got an amazing cover done, and I was thinking, well, maybe it'll do okay. And then I put it out in the world, and launch on the day of launch, it hit number 45 overall on the Amazon store.
Yay!
Which was amazing. I'm still up. That was the 21st of March and the 21st of June, and I'm still around 200 in the store now, and it's just blowing me away, basically.
Yeah, so fantastic. That is really amazing. So well done. Yay. And do you have the cover for Shunned, or?
I don't have the cover with me because I don't have a copy of the book here because it hasn't even arrived.
Well, what covers do you have? Because I meant to say earlier, throw us some covers.
This is the Nevermore series, and this is book 1, and it's called Dead and Stormy Night. And then this is the first book in the Briarwood series, Castle of Earth and Embers.
Lovely.
Yeah.
They're so beautiful, so colourful. I love them. Gorgeous. Gosh. And obviously we were talking before about how you're legally blind and everything. So how does that affect your writing? Are you a touch typer, or do you use dictation? How does that all sort of work for you?
So, and it's funny because I hated this at the time, but it was actually the best thing ever. So when I was about 7, I think, 6 or 7, so I was quite young, as part of, you're at school and you have kind of teacher aides and people that come in and try and make sure that you are going to be, as a blind person or someone with a disability, try and make sure that you're going to be able to put school okay and that you've got all the tools you need and stuff. And basically, those people
Yeah.
and my parents decided that I would learn how to touch type because I had this, I couldn't read the blackboard, and
Yeah.
it was a blackboard at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had this little, we call a mini scope, which is like a little telescope that you use and you hold it up with one eye, like binoculars, you're just only one.
Yeah.
And you hold it up and you look at the board and then you put it down so that you can write. And by the time you've done that process, you know everyone else is twice as far ahead of you.
Yeah.
And so they decided that life would be much better for me if I could learn to touch type because I could type faster than I could handwrite. And so they forced me at a very young age to go out of school and go to these typing lessons. And it wasn't even, it was so old school that there was no word processor or laptop or anything. It was an actual typewriter, clickety keys, and you know if you made a mistake, you couldn't delete it. And I hated it. I hated every minute of it. I was so angry about it. And now I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much. And so, and so I had a typewriter at the beginning, and then I had this thing called a star writer, which was like a word processor. So heavy, like any heavy PC that you have now, it's probably lighter than this thing that I had to lug around with a handle, and it screen like this thing that you could fit like 3 lines on it.
Yeah.
So I had about 5 years of primary school with one of those, and then I think in high school, or maybe the last year of primary school, I got my first laptop, and then I've always had laptops ever since. So basically, I'm pretty good at touch typing, and without looking at the keys. And so that's what I do. I type, and I have there's a setting on the computer that swaps the contrast on the screen around. So instead of having a white background with black words, which is it's got a lot of glare on it, and glare is not my friend. So I swap it around so it has a black background with white text. Any electronic device I have has the same thing. So like my phone looks the same. It looks really weird to me. That's what I do. And then I just have a really big curved screen, and it sits on a platform so that it's right in front of my face, like my nose is practically touching it.
Oh wow.
And that's my setup.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. I just love that with technology comes all these things that can help people. My son's dyslexic, so I started dictating, to get my own word count up, but he uses Dragon dictation as well. So, and that's come brilliantly for him. So I love that technology is helping people. And it's so funny though that you were talking about the typewriter. I remember my mum had a typewriter. That seems like years ago.
I can't believe I've kind of seen that whole progress.
Yeah.
That is really fascinating to look back on, actually.
That is. Wow. Well, what are you working on at the moment? Do you have anything coming out really soon, or what are you working on?
So I have got the fourth book in the Evermore series, which is called Memoirs of a Garrotter.
Yeah.
Is out in about probably a week or so. And so I'm really excited about that. And what I'm working on at the moment is the book in that series, which is called Initiative.
Excellent.
And I must admit I've got a little bit of stage fright about it because the first book was so popular, and I ended it on this really big, really mean, super mean cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And people will not stop talking about this cliffhanger and how horrible it was. They can't wait for the next time. I just want to be good. I just don't. I'm going to do it justice.
Oh, that's awesome though. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. So where can we find you online and keep up with everything that you're doing?
So I have a website which is at steffanietools.com.
Yeah.
steffmetal.com, and it's got my blog, and it's got all my books on it, hopefully when I update it. Kind of all the other things I do. I'm at quite a lot of conferences talking about paranormal and reverse harem and that kind of fun stuff. So it's got all my events on it. Yeah, and all my social media. You mostly just find me on Instagram or on. I've got a Facebook, like a private Facebook group for all my readers, and that's pretty big. And lots of people are commenting on there and just telling me how much they hate me for that cliffhanger. Yeah, so that's find me.
Excellent, fantastic. And just a little shout out, I know that the Romance Writers of New Zealand has been something that you've been involved in for a while, and I love Romance Writers of New Zealand, the group as well. So that's pretty awesome. If you're going to be there, I'm sure Steph's going to be there, so you can go and say hi.
Actually, it's so sad. It's kind of sad. I'm actually not going to be there this year.
Yeah.
At conference this year, I'm going to Europe to do research in Eastern Europe for my next series. So
excellent. Well, you'll miss Steph this year then, but Steph and I will be in Auckland. It's Auckland next year, isn't it, for 2020? Fantastic. So anyone can come up and say hi to you, say hi to me, and everyone else that I talk to who's usually involved in RWNZ. Well, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Steph. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was heaps of fun.
Okay.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Jump onto my website, sarahwilliamsauthor.com, and join my mailing list to receive a free preview of my books and lots of other inspiration. If you like the show and want it to continue, you can become a sponsor for just a couple of dollars a month. Go to patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author. And remember to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a review of the podcast. I'll be back next week with another loved up episode. Bye!